All right, here we go. Adonai sefer tifta ufi agita hilotecha. Adonai, open up my lips that my mouth may declare your praise. Adonai, Adonai, sefer tifta. Ufi agid tehilatecha. Adonai, sfatati tach. Ufi agid tehilatecha. Adonai, sfatati tach. Ufi agid tehilatecha. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu v'Elohei avotenu v'imotenu, Elohei Avraham, Elohei Yitzchak, v'Elohei Yaakov, Elohei Sarah, Elohei Rivka, Elohei Rachel, v'Elohei Leah. Ha'el Hagadol Hagibor v'Hanara El Elyon, Gomel Chasadim Tovim v'Konei Hakol, v'Zocher Chastei Avot v'Imahot, Umevi Gula Livnei V'neihem L'ma'an Shemo B'Ahava. Melech Ozer u'Moshia u'Magen, Baruch atah Adonai Mogen Avraham v'Ezrat Sarah. Atah gibor le'olam Adonai, Mechayei hakol Torah v'choshiach, Moshir haruach u'morid hagashem, Michalkel chayim b'chesed, Mechayei hakol b'rachamim rabim, Somech noflim v'rofei cholim, U'matir asurim. Memunato li shenei afar, michamocha bal givurot umido melech, melech mimit umatzmiach Yeshua, v'ne'emanata lechayot hakol. Baruch atah Adonai mechayeh Ata kadosh v'shemcha kadosh, u'kadoshim b'cho yom yilalu chasela. Baruch atah Adonai ha'el hakadosh.
Nice job, Gary. Wow. Fantastic as always. So this week, I can't wait to start reading it. The beautiful story of Noah. Great.
Yes, good old Noach.
Ruth, would you like to start reading?
Of course. Do we start at 11?
6:9. This
sorry,
is
6:9. Okay.
yes.
This is Noah's chronicle. Noah was a righteous man in his generation. He was above reproach. Noah walked with God. Noah begot 3 sons, Shem, Ham, and Japheth. The earth became corrupt before God. The earth was filled with violence. And when God saw how corrupted the earth was, how all flesh was acting in a corrupt way upon the earth, God said to Noah, "The end of all flesh has come to mind before me, because the earth is full of violence on their account. Look now, I am going to wipe them off the earth. Make yourself an ark of gopher wood. Make the ark with rooms and cover it with tar inside and out. This is how to make it: 300 cubits long, 50 cubits wide, and 30 cubits high. Make a roof for the ark, making it over, gotta go up, okay. Making it over, don't go too far. Okay, making it over, hang from above by a cubit. Put the ark store in its side and make a bottom, a second, and a third deck. As for me, I'm going to bring the flood waters upon the earth to destroy all that lives under the heavens, all that is the breath of life in it. Everything on earth shall expire. With you, though, I will establish my covenant. Go then into the ark, you, your wife, your sons, and their wives with you, and take 2 each of every living creature of all flesh into the ark, male and female, okay, to keep them alive along with you. Every type of bird, every type of beast, every type of creepy thing, let 2 of each come to you to keep them alive, and take along edible foodstuffs of every kind. Gather them up so that there is food for yourself and for them. And Noah did just as God had commanded him. That is what he did. The Eternal One then said to Noah, go into the ark with all your household, for I see that you in this age are righteous before me. Take 7 pairs of every pure beast, a male and its mate, and 2 of every impure beast, a male and its mate. Of the birds of the sky, 2 take 7 pairs, male and female, to give life to offspring on the face of the earth. For in another 7 days, I will pour rain upon the earth for 40 days and nights, and wipe all that exists, all that I have made, off the face of the earth. Noah then did just as the Eternal had commanded him. I'd like to stop here for a minute.
I want to know something.
Yeah, me
How
too.
come-
They says, why was there more birds than the animals?
Yeah, not only that, in the beginning, he said take 1 of each, and then he's taking several pairs of each.
Yeah,
So
right.
which
He's
is
changed
it?
it. Yeah,
Which is it?
yeah.
Oh, I don't know. That's a good one.
That's
Go
Can I
a
ahead.
very
mention
good
something?
point.
Can I mention something really important?
Yes.
Yeah.
And it's right at the beginning, actually. Right, if you go right back to the beginning, let me see it in the beginning in Hebrew.
Where am
What
I?
does he say in Hebrew?
Oh, right there. Okay. If you read in the beginning, it says, Eleh toldot Noach, Noach, ish tzadik tamim. Right? He was a man, he was righteous man, tzaddik,
Yeah.
That's it.
and he was above reproach. Now, the word tamim, it means, it kind of has a, it means wholehearted, but it also means like blameless. But
Okay.
what's really significant is that it's only used twice in the Torah. I forget the exact parsha and verse that it's in Deuteronomy, where it says that you shall be wholehearted with your God. And a lot of the rabbis consider that one of the 5 top, like, concepts of Judaism, like one of the most important pillars, that you're supposed to be wholehearted with God, meaning that you come before God as you are in your totality, with all your positives, all your faults, everything good and bad.
Right.
You come before God honestly and totally and accept whatever God's judgment is of that. So
Yeah.
that's that, when we say to ourselves, why did God pick Noah? Well, it's, there are all these other things saying that, maybe he was relatively a good man in his generation or whatever. But it is
what they say.
interesting that the Torah describes him as Tamim.
Yeah. Also, what I find interesting is that, I never noticed God saying a covenant before Abraham, but he says a covenant with Noah. Like, I knew he was a righteous man, but the word covenant, I didn't know was mentioned in respect to Noah.
Yeah, because it's a rainbow.
No, we're not. I know, but we're not talking about the rainbow now. This is way
Well,
before
that's his covenant, though. At the end, when the rainbow shows up, and everybody knows that God has done what he intended to do.
Right. I do understand that, but he said he's making a covenant between him and Noah way before the rainbow part. That's why maybe the rainbow is something that represents what he was talking about before. Maybe it is.
Okay. There is a commentary here for covenant.
Okay. Yeah.
You see 18? You
Yeah.
want to
Yes.
read,
Yeah.
read it, Ruth?
Yes.
It's the
This
first-
is the
the
concept's
appearance in
first
the Torah.
appearance in the Torah, indicating a special relationship with God. Noah's offspring will be enabled to carry out the command to the first humans to be fruitful and multiply. I see. After the flood, those are the first humans again.
Because
Okay.
right, because everybody else is gone.
That's right. That's right. Now I understand. Okay.
You know what I can't understand is why God when he told them to bring 2 of everything. Why they've had to bring mosquitoes, I can't.
What if the animals weren't heterosexual? Like, what if somebody said, "I want to bring my, my."
Maybe that's why he had 7 pairs of the pure beasts.
Well, maybe because there's 7 pairs. I don't
Yeah,
understand.
7 pairs
First
of
he
pure
said
beasts,
one of each, and then it's several
2
pairs.
pairs of impure
He
beasts.
changed
and
his
then
mind.
Take 7
I guess so.
of the birds. Wow.
Yeah.
That's a lot. It's a lot. A lot. I didn't realize it either. I think that's a really interesting observation. All right. Is there anything else? Anyone want to pick up at Noah was 600 years old? Cynthia?
Okay. Noah was 600 years old when the flood came, waters upon the earth. Noah with his sons, his wife, and his sons' wives came into the ark on account of the deluge. Of the pure beasts and the beasts that were not pure, of the birds and all that creep on the earth. 2 by 2 they came to Noah to the ark, male and female, as God has commanded Noah. After 7 days, the flood waters covered the earth. In the 600th year of Noah's life, in the 2nd month, on the 17th day of the month, on that day, all the springs of the great deep broke out, and the sky's floodgates opened.
Wow.
Boy, he was very old.
Yeah.
Rain fell. Oh,
Has
sorry.
anybody ever thought about what the ratio is of real years to these numbers that they throw out?
You know, some
They
people
drove,
say that,
nobody
that
ever-
1 year is different, but some people actually believe they really were, they lived those long years in those
I don't
days.
think so.
Yeah. It's hard to say. I think there is, yeah. I kind of go with the numbers that they give us, because then
Really?
they talk about. There's a point in time. I know when Abraham comes up, or I think it's right after the flood, that God says everyone's gonna live only 120 years, but that's
Yeah.
still quite a long time.
Well, they're getting
It
there.
was Moses.
Some are.
Moses. Okay,
Moses.
Moses. Right.
I think it was after the Tower of Babel, wasn't it?
I think so.
It might have been
Might
after
have
the
been.
Tower of Babel.
Might have been.
Yeah.
But did you check this out though? This is something that I've always kind of like amazed me at when it says the floods, the sky's floodgates open. But look at all the springs of the great deep broke out, and I've heard of that before too, where there were the waters from under the earth came out. So
Everything.
you had both kind of coming up and down at the same time. It's like woof.
Everything got flooded.
Yeah, so there's waters coming from the underground, and the springs
Well,
came up,
if
and
you
the
if you
skies
ask the
flooded.
scientists about this, they actually say that's what happens in the oceans when there's earthquakes and stuff. That water comes from the below
From the bottom, right.
the
From the
bottom
top.
of the ocean. Yeah, so
Well, and also the earth
possible.
can't absorb any more. All that rain, the earth itself can't absorb any more water, so it would come back up.
You know, the flood story is not only in the Torah. The flood story is in the Sumerian literature
Right.
and all of the other literatures. The scientists said there was a great flood.
Rain fell upon the earth for 40 days and nights. That very day, Noah and Shem and Ham and Japheth, Noah's sons, came to the ark with Noah's wife and with his sons' 3 wives. They and every type of animal, every type of beast, every type of creature that creeps on the earth, every type of fowl, every bird, every winged creature. They came to Noah to the ark, 2 by 2, all flesh that had in it the breath of life. Those who came were male and female. Some of every species entered just as God had ordered him. Then the Eternal shut the door after him. 40 days the flood was upon the earth. The waters increased and lifted the ark, and so it rose over the ground. The waters gained in strength, increasing upon the earth as the ark coursed on the water's surface. High, high above the earth towered the waters, so that the tallest mountains that stand beneath the heavens were submerged. 15 cubits higher the waters towered as the mountains were submerged. Then all flesh that swarmed upon the earth perished, whether bird, cattle, or wild animal, or that which teemed over the earth or human being. Whatever on dry land had the breath of life in its nostrils died. God wiped out all that existed on the face of the earth. human, beast, reptile, birds of the sky. They were wiped off the earth. There remained only Noah and those with him in the ark.
How
You know what I
dramatic.
wonder about? Can I just
Wow.
ask a question? I just
Absolutely.
thought about this. You know, I understand that God wanted to kill everything off that was evil, but the animals weren't evil.
I
Excuse
know.
me. The animals weren't evil. They were
No.
just animals. So I just always thought it's interesting how he just had only those few animals on the ark, and even all the animals were killed. I just never understood that.
Mhm.
It's just a comment.
So
that's
God
all.
would have had to made it flood on all people, like not the animals. That wouldn't be possible.
I don't
Who
know.
could have taken care of the
All or
animals then?
nothing, you know.
Yeah.
That's
The
true.
animals could not have
Okay.
been taken care of if there was nobody to take care of
Yeah.
them.
Right. I suppose so. Yeah.
But what do you think of
Okay.
that? And then whatever on dry land had the breath of life in its nostrils died. Oh my gosh.
Yeah, I
I can
know.
almost, you can almost see the water coming up to the nose of people and it getting wiped out. It's amazing.
Oh.
Wow. And there was actually a film that came out maybe 10 years ago now with what's the guy from The Office? It's called I think it's called Evan Almighty, and it kind of retells the Noah story.
Steve
Remember that?
Carell.
Oh
Oh,
yeah,
Steve
Steve
Carell.
Carell,
Yeah,
right, right. And it's actually really good. And it actually, I think the first one was Bruce Almighty with Steve Carey, or
Oh, yeah, I heard that one, Bruce
Harry.
Almighty. I did.
but yeah, Evan Almighty was the follow-up, and I think it's actually better. It's more lighthearted, I think, and more fun.
How can you be lighthearted when you're flooding and killing everybody in the world?
Well, it didn't do this.
It's a comedy, Myrna.
It's great though. It's really fun movie to watch. I remember my kids loved it when they were like 10 and 12 years old, and they loved it. They loved watching it over and over.
Well, it's pretty awesome when you hear something like that, and then you realize that the Jews still survived.
Yes.
God made sure of that. He made a covenant.
Absolutely.
Right.
Absolutely. That's what I love about it. It's amazing. What amazing. How about if you finish this page, Cynthia? This is great.
And the waters towered over the earth 150 days. God then remembered Noah and all the animals and all the beasts that were with him in the ark. So God caused a wind to sweep over the earth, and the water subsided. The springs of the deep and the sky's floodgates closed up, and the rain was stopped up from the sky.
God then remembered. Can you believe it? Like, how could God forget Noah? There must have been a catastrophe going on
He
before
was
him.
doing something else at the time.
God remembered.
Oops, I almost forgot.
Creating another world.
Oh yeah, that guy. Where's that boat again? Everyone's like dying and just mayhem. Oh yeah, I put that guy in that boat. How did he end up? How's he?
Hey, has anybody heard anything different other than the last I had heard was that they claimed that Mount Ararat was where Noah's Ark landed.
Yeah,
That's what I heard. Yeah.
that's what it was supposed to be. It's Turkey. It's in Turkey.
Right.
And they never found the remains of it though.
Well,
They've been
some
looking and
may have
looking and
stolen-
looking. And
some
why would
may
they?
have
It was
stolen it
wood.
away.
It was wood. It had to be disintegrated.
Yeah. At this many thousands of years, I would
Of
say so.
course.
Yeah.
Didn't have the materials that we got nowadays, you know.
Yeah,
But I
they
think-
didn't have fiberglass in those days.
I was just gonna say that's it.
Google it. Let me just bring this.
I
up.
know they like to do that. They like to say stuff.
Yeah, exactly. Like, oh, doesn't this look like an ark here?
But I doubt that there could be anything left.
Oh yeah, I know millions. Well,
People
thousands.
can create anything in their head. You know, I'm sorry.
True.
All right.
It looks like the Santa Maria. Oh,
Oh boy.
And what happened to the Nina and the Pinta?
Yeah.
The waters diminished apace, ebbing and flowing, draining from the earth. And at the end of 150 days, the waters had receded. In the 7th month, on the 17th day of the month, the ark came to rest atop one of the mountains of Ararat. Wait a minute, it says one of the mountains. How many mountains did Ararat have?
Hmm.
Seriously, why would it say mountains?
Maybe there were several mountains,
Maybe there were
like the
at that
White
time, I don't
Mountains.
know.
You know, there's a couple of mountains on the White Mountains.
The range.
The waters kept on ebbing away until the 10th month. On the first day of the 10th month, the mountain peaks could be seen. 40 days later, Noah opened the ark's window that he had made and sent out the raven, who went winging to and fro, waiting for the water to dry up from upon the earth. Then he sent out the dove to see whether the water had eased from off the surface of the soil. But the dove could not find a resting place for her foot, so she returned to the ark. For still there was water on the
Face of the earth. Face of the earth.
on the face of the earth. He reached out his hand and took her, bringing her back to him to the ark. He waited yet another 7 days and again sent the dove out of the ark. Toward evening, the dove came to him, and look, a freshly plucked olive branch in her beak. So Noah knew that the water had eased from off the earth. He waited yet another 7 days and sent the dove out. This time she no longer came back to him. She found somebody else. In Noah's 601st year, on the first day of the first month, the water had receded from over the earth. When Noah removed the covering of the ark, he saw that the earth's surface was beginning to dry. And by the 27th day of the second month, the earth had dried up.
Oh, that's so sweet. Yay. All right.
Yay.
Guess how many mountains in Ararat? All right.
How many?
Everyone can pick a number between 15 and 2. All right. Who wants to pick?
I'd say 7 because the Bible loves that number.
7.
I'll say,
Good,
I'll
yeah.
say,
Seven's a
I'll
good
say
number.
14.
14. Okay. Myrna?
I don't know. I'm waiting with bated breath. What is it?
Braca?
Right. I just never heard of a number.
Anybody else? Chime in.
Come on, tell us. We can't stand it any longer.
The answer is 2. There are
So
2
I thought
peaks.
too.
Really?
2 peaks.
2 peaks on Ararat. And this is the Google. 2 peaks on Ararat.
How
All
about
right.
Okie dokie.
Thank you for enlightening us.
Thank you,
Thank you.
Google.
Twin Peaks.
Yeah, there you go.
Twin
Twin
Peaks.
Peaks.
Oh, it's a district
Oh.
in Armenia. Look
I
at,
just saw that.
okay. Does anyone want to read about Ararat? Or
Yeah.
Gary?
You read it.
Okay, Ararat.
You read it.
A district in Armenia known in ancient history as Urartu. Urartu? The form Ararat appears first in the 9th century BCE, suggesting that this part of the flood tradition was not formulated until then. Later traditions point to the Zagros Mountains east of the Middle Tigris as the resting place of Noah's and Utnapishtim.
Yeah.
Attempts to
No,
find
Interesting.
remains
That's the Sumerian group thing.
That's the Sumerian side.
Yeah.
Yeah. Attempts to find remains of Noah's Ark have proven fruitless and are likely to remain so. The flood story is a legend, not demonstrable history. All right.
Oh my goodness.
Okay. And then it also talks about the raven winging to and fro, but always returning to the ark. Beckhor Shore, a medieval commentator, concluded that the raven fed off carcasses floating in the water.
Oh,
Okay.
God.
Birds were
Oh,
often
ravens
used as
are-
compasses by ancient mariners. The Akkadian flood story also features a raven. Oh,
Yes, there's a lot of flood stories.
So one is a raven and one is a dove, and those are 2 different
The
species.
dove is the important thing
Mm.
Yeah.
because the raven doesn't that comes back with nothing.
mhm.
So he
I don't
sends
know.
out a dove.
Okay, because there's a dove and a raven and all types of good stuff here.
No, but the dove is so much softer. There's something almost romantic about that little dove with the branch in its mouth.
The branch and it's not the olive
Yeah,
branch.
it's just a wonderful image. I can't see it with a raven, though.
Mhm. Yep. There we go. All right. Do you want to continue, Myrna?
Where were we?
Up on the top.
15.
God, I have 15. God then spoke to Noah, saying, "Go out of the ark with your wife your sons and their wives. Take every animal that is in your care, bird and beast, and all that creep over the earth. Let them swarm on the earth. Let them be fruitful and multiply on the earth. So Noah went out together with his wife, his sons, and their wives, the animals, the reptiles, the birds, everything that teems upon the earth, all departed from the ark in family groups.
Hmm.
Noah then built an altar in honor of the Eternal. Taking some pure beasts and some pure birds, he offered up whole burnt offerings on the altar. The Eternal, inhaling the soothing fragrance, thought, never again will I bring doom upon the world on account of what people do. Though the human mind inclines to evil from youth onward, never again will I destroy all living beings as I have just done. As long as the world exists, planting and harvesting, cold and heat, summer and winter, day and night will never end. God then blessed Noah and his sons, saying to them, be fruitful and multiply and fill the earth. And let the awe and dread of you be upon all the land animals and all the birds of the sky and all that creep on the ground and all the fish of the sea. They are given into your hands. Any small animal that is alive shall be food for you, like green grasses. I give you them all. More or what? I thought that was a beautiful ending.
Yeah, it was a beautiful ending. I don't even know where do we.
But where is the rainbow? Remember there was supposed
Yeah,
to.
it's coming up, I think.
It's coming up. You patience, patience.
I think God then sent the rainbow so that, they would, I think that.
But did God mean that God would never flood or never?
He said he would never do it with flood
Destroy
and
the world.
water
in the
your
right,
whole
in the way
world.
that
The
I have
fire.
just done.
next time.
But
Oh, great.
Now,
You
is
know,
this
my husband used to tell me that rainbow, and now somebody told me that's not true though. That the rainbow was supposed to mean that the earth would never would be destroyed.
wouldn't
Is
be
that
That's
true?
what God said.
I thought
Oh,
it
God just said that.
Oh,
That's what
Not
that's what I thought too. I thought he said something about the fire next time. Gary, was that?
That's
I
what
think
always
that's in
thought,
another.
just that God
That's a
meant
little
that
later on.
I'll never destroy, like the earth by flooding, like as I have just done.
oh, by flooding.
Right.
Oh, I thought it meant for anything. Okay, I
don't think
misunderstood. Okay.
But it does say here in 22,
Then he'll never do it again.
right, that it will never end. As long as the world exists, it will never end.
Yeah,
Right.
so that's where my husband got that idea, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And he says, never again will I bring doom upon the world.
Right.
Yeah, so that's where I got that from. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
And there is a Christian prayer that always ends, world without end, amen. I don't know. And it must come from this as well. Because
Probably.
I have always wrestled with this part because I say to myself, why would God go and destroy everybody? Because knowing human nature, he'd have to do this for every number of generations because the world will always have good and evil.
That's why he says he stopped. After he did it once, he said no more.
Yeah.
And as we continue reading this, we find out that we don't hear any words from Noah. Well, I don't want to give it away now, but something happens the first time he speaks, that we hear Noah speak. It's not in a positive way.
that's correct.
Okay. But flesh whose lifeblood is still in it, you may not eat. Moreover, for your own blood guilt, I will require your lives. I will require it by means of beasts or by means of human beings. By means of a fellow human being will I require a guilty person's life. The shedder of human blood, that person's blood shall be shed by another human. For human beings were made in the image of God. As for you, be fruitful and multiply, populate the earth and increase in it. God then said to Noah and his sons who were with him, as for me, I am going to establish my covenant with you, with your descendants after you, and with every living being in your care, the birds, the beasts, and all the land animals in your care. all who have gone out of the ark, all earth's animals. I am establishing my covenant with you. Never again shall all flesh be cut off by the waters of the flood. Never again shall there be a flood to destroy the earth.
Ah, got it.
That's what
Okay.
he says.
But let's keep going. And God said, here is the sign I am giving you of the covenant between me and you and every living being with you, down to the last generation. I have placed my bow in the cloud. It will be a sign of the covenant between me and the earth. And when I cause clouds to form over the earth, and the bow appears in the cloud, I will remember my covenant between me and you and all living beings, all flesh, and never again shall the waters become a flood to destroy all flesh. When the bow is in the cloud and I see it, I will remember the everlasting covenant between God and all living beings, all that live upon the earth. And God said to Noah, this is the sign of the covenant that I have established between me and all that live upon the earth. Noah's sons, who went out of the ark, were Shem, Ham, and Japheth. And Ham, he was the father of Canaan. These three were Noah's sons. From these the whole earth was populated. Noah, a man of the soil, was the first to plant a vineyard. He drank of the wine and grew drunk, and exposed himself under his tent.
Oh,
Ham, Canaan's father, saw his father's nakedness, and outside told his two brothers. Shem and Japheth took a cloak and put it on both their shoulders. They walked backward and covered their father's nakedness. Facing backward, they did not see their father's nakedness. Noah awakened from his wine and understood what his youngest son had done to him. So he said, damned be Canaan. Those are the first words we hear from Noah.
wow.
Damned be Canaan. To his brothers, he shall be the beast of slaves. And he said, praised be the eternal God of Shem, and Canaan shall be a slave to him. For Japheth God will make ample room. He shall dwell in the tents of Shem, and Canaan shall be a slave to him. So the first words that this good person that God chose.
He made the descendants of one of his sons of slaves.
The first word out of his mouth is damned.
Right.
But why did he damn Canaan?
For seeing him naked.
Yeah, but he didn't
Well, it was
see
his
him.
fault for being naked.
Yeah, but it was his fault for being. He was trying to
He
be
went
good.
out and told his
Right.
brothers, and well, I don't know.
There might be a little more to it than this. I mean, the whole thing, it
But
seems
they
like
covered up for him. They covered his
Two
nakedness.
of the brothers did. One didn't.
Oh, I didn't.
One
Oh,
of
and
them went out and
Canaan
told
was
his
the one that
brothers.
didn't.
It was his own foolishness.
Right.
I don't think his son should have been punished for him.
Well, why didn't Ham cover his father up? He saw him instead.
He didn't.
He
He
was
went out and told his
shocked.
brothers.
He was in
It
shock.
Canaan that didn't.
That's right.
But I think it also goes to one of the other rules that we find in Torah, and it's like, don't talk about people when they're doing something, not right or illicit or something.
I
Right?
want to
Went
tell
out
you,
and
they
told
give.
his brothers.
He told his brothers, "Hey, check out Daddy! Look at this guy."
I want to tell you.
This is the line of Noah's sons, Shem, Ham, and Japheth. Sons were born to them after the flood. Japheth's sons were Gomer, Magog, Madai, Javan, Tubal, Meshech, and Tiras. Gomer's sons were Ashkenaz, Ripah, and Togarmah. Javan's sons were Elisha, Tarshish, Kittim, and Dodanim. From them, the nations of the coastal islands spread out, each with its own tongue in their clan and their people. Ham's sons were Cush, Mizraim, Put, and Canaan. Cush's sons were Seba, Havilah, Savta. His choice domains were Babylon, Erech, and Akkad, all of them in the land of Shinar. From that land came Ashur, who founded Nineveh, Rehoboth, Ir, and Kala, and Resen between Nineveh and Kala, the largest city. Mizraim begot Lodim, Anamim, Lechabim, Naphtubim, Patrusim, and Kalushim, from whom descended the Philistines, Cretans. Canaan begot Sidon, his firstborn, and Heth, and the Jebusites, the Amorites, and the Girgashites. I'm out of text.
Okay, hold on. Hivites.
Right, and the Hivites, the Archites, and the Sanites, and the Arvadites, the Zemarites, and the Hamathites. Afterwards, the Canaanite clan spread out. The Canaanite border reached from Sidon as far as Gerar up to Gaza, as far as Sodom and Gomorrah and Admah and Seboim up to Lasha. There are Ham's sons by their clans, their tongues, and their lands and their nations. And Shem too had progeny. He was the ancestors of all the sons of Eber, brother of Japheth the Great. Shem's sons were Elam, Ashur, Arpachshad, Lud, and Aram. Aram's sons were Uz, Hol, Geder, and Mash. Arpachshad begot Shelah, and Shelah begot Eber. And to Eber were born two sons. The first was named Peleg, division, for in his time the earth was divided. His brother's name was Joktan, and Joktan begot Almodad, Shlepeth, Hazar Maved, Sherach, Hadoram, Uza, Dikla, Obal, Abimael, Sheba, Ophir, Havila, and Joab. All these, I can't read.
They were Jacob's sons.
All these.
All these were Jokah's sons. Their dwelling was near Masha. As you come to Sephora, the eastern mountain, there are Shem's sons by their clans, their tongues, in their lands and their nations. These are the clans of Noah's sons by their generations, by their peoples. From these, the peoples of the earth spread out after the flood.
Oh boy.
Wow.
A lot of begats.
May I ask a question? This has been puzzling me.
Sure.
I don't know if anybody's thought of this like I have. I mean, I could take the Bible and open it to a certain place and then find a whole bunch of people being named names that we'll never hear again. What I keep wondering is, where the hell did they come from? Does each name mean something specific? Is that what we're supposed to understand?
I mean, it sounds like a lot of these names are familiar, aren't they? Mitzrayim.
Not a lot, but there are some.
I think a lot of the reason it's recorded in there is to teach us the importance of remembering and knowing your lineage. I think it was important
right.
back then. You know, because I mean, everything is in there for a reason. Like, so why does it list all these names? Like, to make the connections.
Right. We need to know where we come from.
All the earth had the same language and the same words. As they wandered from the east, they came upon a valley in the land of Shinar and settled there. Then people said to one another, "Come, let us make bricks and fire them hard." So they had bricks to build with, and tar served them as mortar. Then they said, "Come, let us build a city with a tower that reaches the sky, so that we can make a name for ourselves and not be scattered over all the earth." Then the Eternal came down to look at the city and tower that people had built. And the Eternal One said, "Look, these are all one people with one language, and this is just the beginning of their doings. Now no scheme of theirs will be beyond their reach. Let us go down there and confuse their speech, so that no one understands what the other is saying." So it came about that the Eternal scattered them over all the earth, and they stopped building the city. That is why it was called Babel, because there the Eternal confused the speech of all the earth, and from there the Eternal scattered them over the face of the earth.
Yeah.
Oh boy.
Yeah.
Okay.
And that's why we have so many languages today.
Right. This is the land of Shem. Shem was 100 years when he begot Arpachshad, years after the flood. After begetting Arpachshad, Shem lived 500 years, and he begot sons and daughters. Arpachshad lived 35 years, only 35, when he begot, Shelah. After begetting Shelah, Arpachshad lived 403 years, and he begot sons and daughters. After begetting Terah, Noah lived 119 years, and he begot sons and daughters. Terah had lived 70 years when he begot Abram, Nabor, and Haran. This is the
Right.
chronicle of
That's
Terah.
Abraham's father.
Terah begot Abram, Nabor, and Haran. And Haran begot Lot. Then Haran died in the presence of Terah, his father, in the land of his birth, in Ur of the Chaldees. Then Abram and Nabor took wives. Abram's wife was named Sarai, and Nahor's wife was named Milcah, daughter of Haran, father of Milcah and of Yiscah. And Sarai was barren. She had no offspring. You know
Poor
that.
baby.
Then Terah took his son Abram and his grandson Lot, son of Haran, and daughter-in-law Sarai, and they all left Ur of the Chaldeans to go on to the land of Canaan. But they got as far as Haran and settled there. The years of Terah's life came to 205. Then Terah died in Haran.
Fantastic. And I think that's it. That is the end of
Oy.
the
Yeah, well, because that's Abram.
Shah. Yeah.
Because Abraham and Sarah, Abraham and Sarah.
So everything's connected. Look at how connected Noah
Yeah,
is.
it
Abraham.
all came down to Abraham and Sarah.
All
It's
right.
Anyway,
always good here. I
It's,
really like
it was really very, very lovely to be together with all of you.
It's always
All
nice.
righty.
I really do
We'll
like
get
this
together
Monday
again on
nights.
Shabbat. All right.
Yeah.
On
Yes.
Shabbat. Well, you guys do Saturday morning. I
Yeah,
do Friday
okay.
I'll
night.
be
All
on
right. I
Saturday.
sometimes do Friday night, but not every Friday night. I'd like
I
to do
do Friday.
Saturday morning.
I just don't make Saturday mornings.
Oh,
I
Saturday.
see. I'm not a good
We all
Friday night.
say,
I'm not good at Friday night.
Zeigazint.
All right.
Friday
Have a
night's
good
easy
night,
for me.
everybody. Good night,
All right.
Annie.
Zeigazund,
night.
everybody.
Alba says
Good
good night.
Carrie.
Good
Good night,
night, everybody.
Bye,
We love you
everybody.
all.
Bye,
Mwah.
bye.